It was barely sunrise when CEO Daniel Hart stepped out of his penthouse to leave for an early board meeting. But the moment he opened the door, he froze, because right there on the welcome mat lay a small wicker basket. Inside it, wrapped in a soft pink blanket, was a baby girl no older than a few weeks. Her eyes were closed, her lips gently trembling in the cold morning air. Daniel blinked, unable to process what he was seeing. He had no children, no secret relationships, no scandals, so why was a baby left at his door? His confusion deepened when he noticed a folded envelope pinned to the blanket. His name was written on it in a hurried, shaky hand. With trembling fingers, Daniel picked it up and opened the letter. The message inside made his breath catch. "You promised to protect us, don't break it." The words were short, desperate, and frighteningly familiar. His mind raced through years of memories, faces, voices, moments. Someone from his past was calling him out. And they had entrusted him with a baby to prove it. Daniel carried the basket inside, his heartbeat thundering. He placed the baby on the sofa and searched frantically for any additional clue, another note, a phone number, anything. But there was nothing else. Only the child's soft whimpers. He lifted her carefully, awkwardly, not used to holding a newborn. Yet the moment she settled against his chest, something inside him shifted. This wasn't a prank or a mistake. Someone genuinely believed he was the only person who could keep this child safe. He dialed security, demanding to see footage of anyone entering the private elevator. Minutes later, his head of security, Mason, arrived with a tablet in hand. They scrolled through the video until a hooded young woman appeared, moving quickly, nervously, clutching the basket. She kept her face hidden, but the moment she placed the basket down, she whispered something toward the door camera before running away. Daniel replayed the clip several times, his intuition screaming at him that he knew her. Mason suggested contacting the police immediately, but Daniel hesitated. Something about the note felt personal, too personal. He reread it, the words twisting his stomach. He did make a promise once. A long time ago. To someone who had vanished abruptly from his life. If this woman was truly her, then something terrible must have pushed her to leave a baby at his door. And calling the authorities might put both her and the child in danger. He ordered Mason to keep the situation off the record and investigate quietly. Meanwhile, Daniel prepared a bottle, after awkwardly searching how to feed a newborn on his phone. The baby latched immediately, calming down. Watching her tiny fingers curl around his thumb stirred an unfamiliar feeling in him, responsibility, fear, protectiveness. He wondered what kind of danger could force a young mother to make such a desperate choice. As the morning passed, Daniel canceled all meetings, earning shocked reactions from his board. He didn't care. The baby, whom he temporarily named Hope, slept peacefully in a makeshift crib beside him while he worked from home. But he couldn't focus, his mind fixated on the mystery woman. Her walk, her posture, even the way she placed the basket, it all felt hauntingly familiar. If it truly was her, why come now? Why with a baby? Hours later, Mason returned with partial results. The woman had used the service elevator and avoided every major camera. She knew the building layout well. That alone narrowed the possibilities. But the most important detail came from a grainy side-angle clip. A strand of hair had slipped from her hood. It was chestnut brown, just like Emily's. Emily, the intern he had once helped, protected, and cared for deeply before she disappeared. Without saying goodbye, memories flooded back. Emily, the brightest intern at his company, who was targeted by a corrupt executive. Daniel had stepped in, protecting her career and her safety. She had cried, thanking him, saying, "If anything ever happens to me, I know you'll protect me." Those words were eerily similar to the note left with the baby. But what happened after? Why did she disappear? And why had she returned only to leave her child behind? Determined to find answers, Daniel contacted a private investigator he trusted. He handed over the footage and the note, telling him to start with Emily's last known addresses. As he paced the room, Hope woke up and began crying. He rushed back to pick her up, surprised at how naturally he was starting to move with her. She calmed instantly in his arms, blinking up at him with big, trusting eyes that made his heart ache. Evening approached, and with it came a knock on the door that made him tense. But it wasn't the mysterious woman. It was his sister, Claire, furious because he had missed an important family dinner. Her anger quickly turned to shock when she saw the baby. Daniel explained everything while Claire gaped, then softened. "You're not doing this alone," she declared, picking up Hope gently. "Whatever happened here, we'll figure it out." Claire helped him set up proper baby supplies, scolding him for improvising with office towels and water bottles. She stayed the night, caring for Hope while Daniel typed emails, trying to maintain his professional obligations. But even as he worked, the note kept flashing through his mind. "You promised to protect us." Whoever wrote that was terrified. And he wasn't going to fail them. The next morning, the investigator called with news. Emily had indeed resurfaced months ago, but under a different identity. Someone had been following her. She had filed a private complaint against an unknown stalker. Then, abruptly, she disappeared again. Daniel's blood ran cold. Someone dangerous was chasing her. And she had brought the baby to him, because she trusted him more than anyone else. That revelation made him even more determined. He demanded a full background on Emily's last months, her work, her movements, her neighbors. Hope continued sleeping peacefully beside him, oblivious to the storm surrounding her life. Daniel looked down at her tiny face and whispered, "I'll protect you both. I swear it." Over the next 2 days, he barely slept. He cared for Hope while coordinating investigators and reviewing all evidence. Claire stayed whenever she could, but Daniel refused to hand the baby off to anyone else. The more time he spent with her, the more he felt a connection growing, deep, unexpected, and fierce. He couldn't imagine letting her out of his sight. On the third afternoon, they made a breakthrough. A neighbor from Emily's last residence reported seeing her arguing with a man in a black sedan several times. The neighbor described the man as controlling, aggressive, and constantly watching her apartment. When she vanished, the sedan vanished too. Daniel clenched his jaw, realizing Emily had been trying to escape someone, perhaps the baby's father. That night, Daniel received a blocked call. A woman's shaky whisper reached him. "Daniel, I'm sorry. I had no choice." It was Emily. He froze, barely breathing. "You kept your promise," she whispered before the line crackled. "Please, keep her safe. They're looking for me." She tried to say more, but the call abruptly ended. Daniel felt a chill sweep through him. Someone was chasing her at this very moment. He immediately alerted Mason and the investigator. They began tracking the call, triangulating cell towers. Meanwhile, Daniel held Hope close, terrified that danger might soon reach his doorstep. He watched the city lights through the window, praying Emily was still alive. Hours later, investigators located an abandoned motel room near the harbor. Emily's bag lay on the bed, empty, except for a photo of her holding newborn Hope. On the back, she had written, "I wanted her to know love, even if I can't stay." Daniel stared at the photograph, emotions twisting painfully inside him. Emily still cared. She still trusted him. But she was running for her life. At the motel, they found security footage showing the same black sedan circling the parking lot. The man's face was partially visible, a known criminal tied to trafficking and extortion. Emily had been trying to expose him years ago during her internship. That was why she disappeared. Daniel felt guilt crash over him. He had protected her once, but not enough. Determined not to fail again, Daniel offered a massive reward for information leading to Emily's location. Media outlets picked up the story, though he kept Hope's identity private. The search intensified, every lead mattered, and through it all, Hope remained the little heartbeat anchoring him, reminding him why he couldn't give up. Days passed with no breakthrough. Daniel's nights were spent walking the floor with Hope in his arms, rocking her gently, whispering promises he intended to keep. He thought about the life she deserved, a safe home, a loving mother, and a world without fear. And if Emily couldn't return, he was ready to raise the baby himself. Finally, one evening, investigators traced a tip to an industrial warehouse. Inside, they found Emily, injured, exhausted, but alive. She broke down upon seeing Daniel, apologizing repeatedly for dragging him into danger. He pulled her into a protective embrace, telling her she did exactly what a mother should, protect her child, no matter the cost. The man chasing her was arrested shortly after. Emily cooperated fully, providing evidence she had hidden for years. Though still scared, she felt safe for the first time in a long while. Daniel brought her home, where Hope squealed with joy at hearing her mother's voice. Over the next weeks, Emily recovered under Daniel and Claire's care. The three of them formed a small, unexpected family. Emily confessed that Hope's father was the dangerous man chasing her. She never intended to bring Daniel into her problems, but she trusted him more than anyone else. The promise he made years ago was her only lifeline. Daniel listened quietly, then told her something she didn't expect. He would protect both her and Hope for the rest of their lives. Not out of obligation, but because he wanted to. Emily's eyes filled with tears as she realized Daniel had become the one person she could truly rely on. Eventually, the case closed. Emily received legal protection, and the criminal was sentenced. Life slowly returned to peace. Daniel, once cold and work-obsessed, found himself coming home early every day, eager to see Hope's smile or hear Emily's laughter. His penthouse no longer felt empty, it felt like home. One quiet morning, as Hope crawled across the floor and Emily prepared breakfast, Daniel looked at them and realized the truth. The mysterious note had changed everything. "You promised to protect us," and he had. Not just with duty, but with love. The young woman who left the baby at his door hadn't just given him a responsibility, she had given him a family.